Hey guys, so we're going to practice some 5th grade multiplication problems. Remember, the biggest difference is that the numbers are bigger, and when the numbers get bigger, you have larger products, but you also usually have more steps. So we're going to practice 2 problems today. I'm going to do them using that box method from earlier, but I also am going to do the standard algorithm for the last one as well. So let's start with a 2-digit by 2-digit problem. So 56 times 18. And I can see here that I'm going to be drawing a box that is big, but first I want to estimate to make sure that when I'm done, I feel good about my answer. So 56 should round to 60 and 18 to 20. And I know that 6 times 2 is 12, and then I'm actually multiplying both of those by 10 or 100. And so it would be a good guess that my product will be about 1,200. But I am going to do the math to figure it out. So remember that when I'm drawing the box, I need to draw a square for every single digit. And so I need a box that has 4 places, 2 on one side and 2 on the other. Now, the commutative property tells me that 56 times 18 is the same thing as 18 times 56. And so when I'm drawing this box, it doesn't matter where I put the numbers. So let me show you for a second. I'm going to draw this so we don't get confused. All right. I need it to be wide enough that it can hold 2 place values. So I'm thinking there, and long enough that it can hold 2 place values. So this one's going to really look like a square. And I could put 50 and 6 up here, and then I could also put the 10 and the 8 here. And this is correct. Or you could flip it around. You could put the 10 on the top and the 8 here, and the 50 here and the 6 here. Because we know that with multiplication, it doesn't matter which factor comes first, your product will always be the same. So I will leave my box just like this, it doesn't really matter, and I am going to figure out the equations. So remember that I said that the first number should always be whatever is on top, so I have a 10 on the top and an 8 on the top. And then I look directly to the side, and I'm going to multiply it by whatever's on the side. And looking horizontally, the second number is the same, so far I've done it right. Now, in this box, remember I'm always going to put the number that's on the top, so it's still 10 and 8, but this time instead of 50, I'm going to multiply both by 6. And again, this second number is the same, so I'm doing it right. And now I'm going to solve for the 4 different products. So I know 10 and 50, or I could multiply 1 times 5, which is 5, and then add the 2 zeros to the end. I know 8 times 5 is 40, and then I could add the 0 to the end for 400. And 1 times 6 is 6, and I could add the 0 because 10 times 6 is 60. And then 8 times 6 is 48. And now my job is to just add those products. So, as you can see, we have an extra step in 5th grade because we're multiplying 2 digits. But if you just follow along where the numbers line up, you should be okay. And now I'm going to add 500 plus 400. Oops. You got to line up your place values or you'll get the wrong number. 400 and 60 and 48. Okay. Always starting in my ones column, I have an 8 in the ones column. In the tens column, I actually have 6 plus 4, which gives me 10, and I'm going to carry it over. And then in my hundreds column, I actually have 1 plus 5 plus 4, which gives me 10 again. And I don't have any more places, so I can just write that 10 out. And my answer is 1008. And because I rounded both of these numbers up, this makes perfect sense that my actual product is a little bit less than my estimation. So there's one way to solve 2-digit by 2-digit problems. Let's make it a little harder now, especially for those of you who are ready to move on. Let's do 232 times 65. This time I have a 3-digit by a 2-digit number. I am going to estimate really quick 200 times 70 because this number rounds down and the other one rounds up, and I get 14, and then I need to add my 3 zeros to the end. And so my answer should be about 14,000. Okay. And now I need to draw my box to contain all of the different digits for place value. So it's going to look more like a rectangle this time because I have 3 digits across and 2 digits down. Remember, you can switch those if you want to. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to draw my box wide enough so that I can add 3 digits and long enough to have the 2. Okay. So I need to break this up. 1, 2, 3, and then I'll break this one up 2. This time, because I'm going to need to write extra small, I brought the edges of this up a little bit so that I don't get confused. So I have 200 plus 330 plus 2, and then 60 plus 5. All right. My first job is to write the number on the top. So 230 and 2. And then I will multiply the number that's directly to the side. In this case, 60. 60 times 60 times 60. I've set it up right because the second digit is all the same. And then I do the same to the bottom row. I start with the number on top, 200. 30's on top in this square, and 2's on top in this square. And then I look to the side, and I have 5, 5, and 5. And now I can solve. So 2 times 6 is 12. I'm going to add those 3 zeros. 3 times 6 is 18, and I'll add the 2 zeros, comma. 2 times 6 is 12 again, but this time I only add 1 zero because it's only 60. 2 times 5 is 10, but I'm going to be adding those 2 zeros because I'm actually multiplying by 200. 30 times 5 is, well, 3 times 5 is 15, and then you add that 0. And then finally, 2 times 5 is 10. All right, I have a lot more products, and so you see that I had a lot more steps this time. Now, instead of finding 1 or 2 or 4, I had to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 products, and my job is to add those up. So I like to start from the largest number and work my way down. That way I don't mess up my place value. So I cross that guy off. Then I have 1,800. I got that one. And then 1,000 would be next. And then the next largest number is 150. Oops. Make sure you're lining those place values up. It's not 1,000. It's 150. And then 120. And finally 10. All right. I'm going to add them up. So in my ones column, I have all zeros, so I'm going to write zeros. In my tens column, I have 5 plus 2 plus 1, which equals 8. If I look at my hundreds column, I actually have 8 plus 1, which is 10. So I'm going to bring that up over to the thousands. And now I have 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1, which equals 5. And finally, I bring that 1 down. And remember, I always add a comma in between the last 3. And my answer is 15,080, which is pretty good estimate for 14,000. Remember, I rounded this number down, and so it doesn't surprise me that this number is actually a little bit bigger than my estimate. I'm going to also solve 232 times 65 the traditional algorithm way, because some of you are ready for that. So 232 times, remember you always put the largest number on top. I'm going to write these in different colors, 65. All right. In this first row, I am finding the product of 5 times 232. We've learned that we are going to start multiplying in the ones column and then gradually move over because sometimes we have to carry numbers. And so we start with 2 times 5 is 10, and I carry the 1. And then I look at the next place, which is the tens place, and I say 5 times 3 is 15, plus that extra 1 is 16. And again, I carry the 1. And then I look at 5 times 2 in that hundreds place, plus 1 equals 11. All right, now I'm going to move on to this 6. And now the 6 is actually 60. I can tell because it's in the tens place. So I'm not going to think of it as 60 this time in the traditional algorithm. Instead, I'm going to add the 0 to hold the place of 60, or 10 times as much. And then I'm going to multiply like normal. But of course, I always need to start with the ones place because if I need to carry anything over, I'll carry it into the tens. So I think to myself, oh, I also like to cross these off before I start. 6 times 2 is 12, and I'll carry the 1 over. And then I look at the next place, which is the tens place, and I say 6 times 3 is 18, plus that extra 1 is 19. So I put down the 9, and I bring up the 1, and then I look one more time, and I say 6 times 2 is 12, plus an extra 1 is 13. And now my job is to add these two products. 0 plus 0 is 0, and 6 plus 2 is 8, and 1 plus 9 is 10. And then I look at this one, and I say 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 5, and then I drop the 1, and I get 15,080, which is the same answer as I got before. Do you see how much faster this one was? So the reason we want to do this is because we can solve this super quick. This one's okay, but it takes a long time. However, use it if it makes sense to you. Okay, that's all. The first word was chicken, and this one is noodle. You know, like chicken noodle soup. Delicious. Alrighty, I'll see you soon.